Is This a Ghost is sponsored by Pickney Bend Distillery. Tomorrow, if you're listening to this on our drop date, boy, on drop date, it is Thanksgiving is tomorrow. So,
oh shit!
Yeah. Did you do your Thanksgiving shopping, Patrick?
I have not yet. I usually, honestly, I like to kind of do my Thanksgiving shopping the day afterwards. Get all the Thanksgiving stuff really cheap.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The
Like,
leftover turkeys.
Have you seen how cheap turkeys get on Friday after Thanksgiving? Like
3
they're
cents
giving
a
them
pound.
away. Seriously, like they can't get rid of the things.
Yeah.
I also I usually wait that long to pick up the corned beef as well. I usually, because by then
from March.
Yeah, it's real cheap by then.
It's real seasoned, and it's 3/4 liquid. But the liquid that's what you marinate. It's a marinade. It's a marinade in the
you boil it for about an hour, so you mix in a little bit of port, and then you have yourself dinner and drinks. So,
well, Pickney Bend is.
I knew we were going to segue back into this. Funny you mentioned this.
If you haven't gotten your Thanksgiving shopping done yet, Pickney Bend, I think, is still open today. You should run out there right now and get it because
I hope they're still open. They haven't sent us booze in a while.
Do
you mean like generally still open?
Yes. No. I mean like open on on Wednesday before.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I mean they'll be open on Black Friday as well.
Probably.
Just give Tara a call. She'll open up the store.
And her phone number is 636. No, so if you haven't finished your Thanksgiving shopping yet, it's a good day if you are within driving distance, I guess, of Pickney Bend to go there and get something, because as we've discussed on previous ads, you are going to need it for your family gathering. I don't care how cool you think your family is. It's going to be cool, a little bit cooler.
They're not cooler than booze. I don't really know how else to put it.
Correct. And the coolest booze on the block is Pickney Bend Distillery booze. They are the perfect one for Thanksgiving. Their gin has a lot of Midwestern specific ingredients. It's got, I don't know, some leaves and some things. I should have looked at the website for this, but the big
flowers,
ingredient I know,
leaves,
it's got flowers,
aromatics.
it's got aromatics, and it's got turkeys. And they don't like to talk about that necessarily the rest of the year, but this is the time of year when they love it. They put one full turkey in each batch of Pickney Bend. And by my math, that means each bottle of Pickney Bend gin has let's see, it's
either a leg or a wing. I think it's a leg.
1/8 turkey.
Okay, so that's a leg or a wing.
Could be feathers though. They do not pluck before putting in because there's no time. There's clearly no time.
It's gin time. It's 4 a.m. Let's start throwing shit in the ginnery. Let's get this going.
We got all the smallpox out. It took a really long time to really clean the smallpox. We don't have any more time. It's 3 a.m. Please just put the turkeys in the barrel, and they do. And so if you want that real Thanksgiving, the genuine flavor of Thanksgiving in your Thanksgiving gin, there's no other option than Pickney Bend Distillery. The only distiller that I know that uses, again, one whole turkey in each batch of their gin year round. What do you think? Do you like that?
I mean, I was going to drink it anyway, but I'm going to drink it a little more now, if you know what I mean.
So, yeah.
So,
yeah. So, cheers to Thanksgiving. Cheers to your family and your loved ones.
And cheers to Pickney Bend.
Cheers to Pickney Bend for being brave enough to put raw turkeys, and they are raw, freshly killed, sometimes not even all the way dead, in the barrels. And cheers to Pickney Bend for sticking with us for just so long now.
Too long, really. For too long, I think.
Oh, I would have dropped us, months ago.
Thanks, Tara.
And if you want to put a little extra kick of turkey in your Thanksgiving, you can go to PINCKNEYBEND.com. That's Pickney Bend's website. See what they have to offer. We love them. And go follow them on social media. You know what? Follow them on social media. Don't talk about us there to them.
Yeah. Oh, God, no. I don't know. I really don't think they know this is going on. Yeah.
I think they stopped listening some time ago, but do go follow them. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, maybe other places, but Pickney Bend. Go check them out. Be their friends and tell them that you love them and tell them that we sent you.
No. Don't tell them about us.
Patrick told you all about the turkey stuff.
No,
it's weird.
I texted Tara like 3 months ago, and it still has it doesn't have the read receipt.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened there.
I have a guess.
I also have a guess. So, but yeah, let them know that Clayton sent you. So
hello, everybody. Welcome to Is This a Ghost? I'm Clayton Smith, and every week I tell a real ghost story from real history to my real friend, Patrick Dean, who doesn't take it real seriously, but he's getting there.
you say that, but I don't know. Maybe in season 3, but currently, no. I think we're pretty far off from that.
Which season do you think we're in right now? Because we do not do seasons.
We're in late season 2. We're in late.
Okay.
We're just about to sweeps, I believe.
Okay.
So,
in your mind, where is the season line?
The season line is the calendar year. I think it's a calendar year.
Are you okay?
I just
that is not professional.
Woo, buddy, man. I am. You know, what I'm thankful for this year. You know, what I'm thankful for that stopped about 50% of the way through. That's what I'm thankful for.
I was gonna guess Zyrtec. New sponsor potential.
No. If the Pringles people aren't going to call me back, I'm done with sponsors.
Okay. Why are you still Popeye with beets? I thought we fixed this.
I thought I did fix this.
Well,
what fucking settings are? Yeah, we'll let Jen fix it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think she can just superimpose something. Jen, hey Jen, if you wouldn't mind, would you fix Patrick?
Mm-hmm.
Start with the name for sure, but I mean, I'm talking full overhaul.
In general,
yeah,
bit of a work in progress. Thanks for 17 toilets flushing upstairs, everybody.
It's instant, isn't it? Boy. But I'll tell you this. God, I listened again to the Dorothy Parker episode before recording today. Jeremy sent me the final version. You cannot hear the toilet. You cannot hear it. We mentioned that it's running, and then that one I think it was like the toilet and the sink, which sounds like might be the case again. He's a genius.
You're getting pretty good. You can identify all the plumbing features of my home from 300 miles away.
Yeah.
That sounds like the sink, maybe just the hot water. I'm
thinking maybe, but bathroom, toilet, but maybe kitchen sink.
Yeah. I'm hearing a number 1 on the first floor, maybe a number 2 on the second floor.
One of those was a double flush.
Yeah.
For sure. But Jeremy has found a way to erase it. It's like it never happened. It's amazing. God. Jen,
he should just live over here, because if he can make all this just disappear.
Yeah, that'd be good. Boy. I did notice that Jen doesn't make it disappear from the YouTube. So Jen, you're doing a great job, but you know.
Hey Jen, you know, I'm giving you permission right now. Really, I'm giving you permission. Anytime a toilet flushes, just take a big toilet icon and just put it right next to my head on the audio until the sound is done.
It would be nice to have some sign off on the specific toilet image. If it's like a screen grab from Fight Club, I'm not going to sign off on that.
What about our deaf listeners?
That either.
Yeah, I would say, like, because I can't imagine that comes across in the subtitles. You know, like when the toilet flushes, does it just say like foreign at the bottom or something like that?
Yeah,
or
probably, yeah, I think so.
I think Jen should probably add a toilet, maybe a sink. I wouldn't go any further than that.
No, that feels far enough, I think.
Yeah.
Hey, look who's drinking alcohol again.
Oh man, God, it's so
those teeth are feeling good, huh?
I wouldn't go that far. That's part of why the alcohol's here. Okay. No, so I still can't snack on anything, at least not anything that, you know, tastes good.
Sure.
So alcohol is doing it's kind of a stand-in for a couple things in life.
Okay,
right
good.
Now.
Okay. We don't have to dive into that.
No, we shouldn't. What do you do? God, you're drinking like 7 fingers of something tonight. What is that?
I wanted to be short. This is gonna be a long one. I wanted to be sure I had enough. This is
we can do intermission if you want.
Yeah, we could have like some fun bump music play for like 5 minutes during intermission.
Did you read that story about how there was like a handful of theaters worldwide that got Killers of the Flower Moon forcibly removed from them because they were putting intermission in the middle of it?
No.
Apparently Scorsese was like, no intermission, just straight through, like 17 hours or something like that. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, that's a long movie.
They put one in fucking Lawrence of Arabia. So I think Martin Scorsese can figure out.
That was before the TikTok era when people did not have. So now it's got to be. You gotta. I would say, now we need. This is going to be controversial, but I would say 7 intermissions.
I think
per 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, until they want to let me start vaping in the theater, you got to give me some time.
That's right.
To go.
Listen, if you're not going to put a toilet in the seat, the seat can recline. It's cushy. It can order food, but it cannot yet take my waste And until that happens, I'm going to need an intermission.
I don't know if you've ever opened up one of those movie theater seats, but it's all negative space underneath of that chair right there. Wasted opportunity.
3 hours and 26 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't need intermission for that. That's like
I do agree. That is, however, that's a long movie. But that was Endgame was basically that, right?
Endgame was I think it was, I don't know, was it 3? Did it hit 3?
Let's see, Endgame runtime.
Mm-hmm.
It's so nice to be able to talk about all this now that the strike is over. We've been dying to talk about movie run times for months. Oh no, 182 minutes. So that's only 3 hours.
Yeah.
So wow, this is more substantial. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I had 4 intermissions during Endgame, but that's because I took Gloria, and I gave her like a 96-ounce soda when we walked into it. So
you knew what you were doing. You knew.
Yeah, right before every fight scene got started, she was like, "Hey, I need to go to the bathroom," and I am 4. So
that's Erin's perfect time to go because she likes the Marvel stuff, but she doesn't like the fight scenes. She finds them tedious. And to me, it's the most exciting thing of the whole thing is like, how are they going to make how are they going to use Black Panther's specific skills to really punish Loki and his specific skills? You know, that's
like the exposition is the tedious part. Like, have you seen these movies? They've got like, anyway.
So we do differ on that, but it's nice though, because we can go to the bathroom at different times and then we can just catch each other up later. Together, we have a whole movie because we go to the bathroom during exact opposite peaks and valleys. Yeah,
that's perfect. Yeah, that way, like when each of you come back from the bathroom, you ask the other one, what happened, and the other one can just be, it was really boring.
Yeah,
you wouldn't like this.
I was like, okay, good, thank you. I'm so glad you were here for that.
I had a fun thing at work the other day. I got a request to help with something, and I said, okay, well, send me the schematics. I'll take a look and see if I can help. Mm-hmm. And they send me the schematics and open it up, and I'm reading through it, and at the bottom of it, it says I don't know what the year was. It says the schematics are for a machine called the Bird Blender, and I said, ooh. I said, ooh. Oh, no. And I sent a note back to my colleague, and I said, you're gonna have to give me a bit of a warning before you send me stuff like this. He goes, no. It's not how you.
It's not what you think.
It's not what you think.
It's how you. It's a mixer for birds.
Yeah.
Not what you thought.
Yeah, it's like a sock hop for birds, except they all come out in pieces. No, it was a blender for their feed. It turns out, and I was going to jump into conclusions.
That is. Yeah. You cannot call that a bird blender.
I mean, seriously. I mean, it's a cool name.
Sure. If you're writing a post-apocalyptic novel.
Yeah. Why are you taking notes?
Nothing.
So then, after I started this little hubbub at work, I started getting all kinds of unsolicited Teams messages from colleagues with real bird blenders. Which looks like, have you ever seen a real bird blender?
I just want to be clear. What are we talking about?
Hold on, Googling. Hold on.
No, are we talking about real bird feed blenders, or are we talking about real blenders that blend birds?
Shh, I'm searching.
I don't like you having the power to show your screen. Is this what it's like to be you? Can I show you my screen?
Hang on. Let me find a good one.
Watch this like I watch a horror movie with my eyes between
my
fingers.
One. Let me find a good one. Boop, 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 boop. Do they not let you open?
Oh, great. We can't do that. Okay, let's move on.
No.
This is a failed experiment. That's fine. And maybe next Thanksgiving.
Open image in new tab. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so how do I share you?
I don't know what I was thinking. Starting a podcast with an engineer. This was a mistake. From the get-go.
Share. I just want to share this. So the fun thing is.
So is this for feed or birds? I really need to know this.
This is technically a bird defeatherer. So you put the expired bird in here if you're, nice. And and what you can't really tell, all those little corn cob things in there, those are little rubber fingery little dildo type guys.
No, that's exactly what they look like. Thank you for describing that, but it is exactly
because they sag a little bit. Like you would think they would just, if they were corn cobs, they would just stick up, but they kind of sag a little bit like that. And what they do is they just sort of
they gently waft the feathers away. They suggest to the feathers they should float away from the carcass, and the feathers
exactly.
Say,
at 1,200 revolutions per minute, roughly.
Can I tell you something? So you think you're showing me something shocking here, but you forget, my friend, that I grew up in Villa Ridge, Missouri.
Let me find you a different photo.
No, let me tell you something before you do, which may save both of us some trauma. When I was a child, so we had cows in our backyard, and it was our backyard, but they were not our cows. And we let our neighbors who had a big farm graze their cattle in our yard. Gosh, so many pictures. And in return for that, we would get some of the meat and stuff. So we would help
a little quid pro quo, eh? Yeah.
One of the animals that we then would go, and so they would give us a lot of their chickens that they butchered, and we would be invited over to their farm to engage in that process. And my parents were like, "Yeah, our kids are 7, 8, and 10. Let's go do it."
Yeah, let's go give them a little life lesson right here. As an
extremely young child, I did go over to their farm, and I watched them take a live chicken who was very happy to be alive at that point. I mean, loving life.
You assume he could have had issues.
I suppose so, but this was not a factory farm. This was a good farm. As far as farm chickens go, this is a good one. And they took an axe and they chopped the head off, and then the rumors are true. The chickens they just kept running. They didn't even know. They were still so happy. They were just like, "This is great." Freeze a bird. And
still sounds happy. I mean,
still running around. And then once they finally decided they were a little sleepy and flopped over. Then they would take.
They went to a farm upstate after that, right? Then
God, I wish. Every fiber of my being wishes that was true. No, what they would do is they would actually they would then be grabbed up by the feet, which I think is what you call that chicken feet,
the footsies or the tootsies. Yeah,
the tootsies. Yes, they were sorry, the piggies, the piggies of the chickens, and they would bring them over to a thing that looked like what you showed me, except inverted. So it was like if you took it and you popped it out, and so it was a cylinder.
I got more
on the
photos.
Outside were those dildos. Yeah, if you could just show
1,200 RPMs of dildos. Just
and I thought, what's that? And that's and what it turns out, what it was they would turn it on, it would spin so fast, and then they would very very carefully they would hold the chicken by the piggies, and they would hold it kind of up to that, and it would it would take all the feathers off. Sometimes more than feathers.
He didn't need the feathers anymore. Little spoiler alert. He was done with the feathers.
Yes, correct.
So,
and as they're doing that, the little neck is flopping. And so I did have a lot of questions for my parents that day, and they said, "Well, that's farm life," and that's about farm the extent life that I got. But I will say the chicken is delicious.
I'm still trying to figure out how you end up with a fish fear out of all this. This is like, there's so many fears that should have been born out of all this, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna be afraid of fish. Actually,
yeah. Well, life is a mystery. Everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name, and it feels like home. Is that how that song goes? That's probably fine.
That's the song. Yeah,
that's Madonna, right? Do you want to hear a ghost story?
I guess. I got time. I have, how many fingers do I have left? 2 fingers left.
One and a half.
Yeah, it's 1.5. I was being
generous. Refill?
I'm 1.5. This is actually all of the Paint Band whiskey I have left.
Oh no!
Isn't that awkward? Because Tara listens to the show and she hears the level getting lower every week, right?
She does listen to the show, so I think that might account for it.
We did have that very, very protective listener that emailed us about how horrified he was that Tara does not listen to our show.
Yeah,
he or she, and I appreciate our listeners being in our corner. Really,
I do too.
Yeah, and not in Tara's.
There corner. He did. He was very forceful in our recommendation that we abandon Pick Me Back tonight. I appreciate your passion. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to the show. When you've got a sponsor who doesn't stop sending you whiskey completely, you keep them.
Yeah.
Wow, is my whole take. But I do appreciate the passion of that one listener. Is like, they don't treat you right. Thank you, friend.
Yeah, I think they treat us pretty fairly, to be honest with you. I mean, have you been listening to the show?
It's very reciprocal. It's very. Oh boy. Well, before we get to the ghost story, Patrick, we are once again sponsored by our good friends at Smart Labels. You haven't gotten your Smart Labels yet, I know. I haven't brought them to you yet. However, I want to tell you, they are. I've been playing with them more since last time we recorded that. They are, and I don't use this word lightly, transcendent.
Really?
They are transcendent.
Interesting.
If someone started a religion around the Smart Labels, I wouldn't. I'm not saying that I would like prescribe to that religion, but I would say I wouldn't be surprised that people thought that it was worthy of that.
Yeah. You'd be like, where would you put it? Like on a level of cult followings.
Well, I don't know if we want to get into like comparing like traditional cults and stuff. I wouldn't call it a cult. I would call it a brand evangelist situation.
Okay.
Because it's so good. It's so easy.
That's fine. Yeah.
So I hope everyone listened to our ad last week on Smart Labels. And if not, listen, I'm going to run through it again for you because it's so easy. So you have decorations that you want to store somewhere, and next year you're not going to know where they are.
No, because you were drunk when you put them away.
You were drunk when you got them out of the attic. You're drunk when you put them back in the attic.
You were all full of wassail. Someone was caroling. And the eggnog was just about to go bad. And you thought, I need to drink 48 ounces of eggnog in the next 6 hours.
I need to put this stuff away in whatever hole I can find as soon as possible so that I can get back to that glass. And who knows where that might have ended up. So
so you can label your holes with.
Oh no. That took a turn, didn't it? Well, you can label anything. So I'm not going to say no, but you can label anything. Right.
All your hidey holes.
Yeah, all your hidey holes. Mine is in the attic. I have one in the attic. I have one in the basement. I have one in the garage. And so Smart Labels gives you a really easy system to not have to worry about that so that you can go back to your wassail. Is it wassail?
Wassail,
it's not spelled like wassail, but it's spelled like wassail, right?
Wassail, yeah. Wassail, yeah.
That's wassail.
Right. I mean, you're a lot more English than I am, so I'm going to have to defer to you on that one.
That's true. Let me think about this.
In the German tongue, we would have added about 14 different consonants to it.
Yeah, and they would have been shouted.
Absolutely, yeah. And they would have meant put the baby to sleep. And whatever you want to put to sleep, whether it's babies or decorations, you can use Smart Labels. And so the way it works is you get a sheet of QR codes and you peel one off and you put it on whatever it is that you're putting away for this season, whether it's your box of Thanksgiving decorations, whether it's your crib, I guess, in Patrick's weird scenario. Yeah, or just like a box of wet stuff. Who knows?
Sure. Maybe you're going to be like, when this dries, I'm going to want it back, but not right now. So let's put it away somewhere. For now, that's going to go in the shed. And so you put a sticker on it and you take out your phone and you download the Smart Labels app and you open the app, you scan the QR code, and then you put all the information. You say what's in the box. If you want to give the box a name, you can do that. You can take pictures of what's in the box. You can take a picture of where the box is. You can type in, oh, it's in the attic. Oh, it's in Patrick's weird wet shed.
Yeah. Is it wet? Is it dry?
Yeah, that's up to you. And you put it there. And so then next year when you're like, hey, where'd that wet stuff go? You can just go into your app and type in wet stuff. And as
you get a list of all the wet stuff in your life.
And you will find, if you scroll really, really far down through all the wet
There's
stuff.
There's a lot.
Patrick,
I'll be honest. It's a pretty broad classification. It's like the classic, we parked in the itchy lot of classifications in Patrick's basement.
Yep, that's right. And then you'll find it. So Smart Labels makes it all possible for you to have a really, really smart, easy, very simple storage solution for anything that you want. Doesn't matter what it is. If you want to put something away for a while and find it later, and you don't want to go hunting for it later, use Smart Labels. You can go to their website. It's qrsmartlabels.com, or something that's just as easy for them and maybe even easier for you. Go to Amazon. Just search Smart Labels, one word. You will find them. Buy yourself a pack. Try it out once. I'm telling you, you will not regret it. It is really incredible. Patrick knows where all his wet things are, and that's going to serve him. And honestly, in some ways, this whole podcast really well in like 3 years when he goes looking for them. All right, now it's time for a ghost story. Are you ready?
Yes, Yoda. Yes, I am ready.
All right. Well, I was looking for a special because this, as you know, as we've already discussed in the Piggy Bend ad, this is coming out the day before Thanksgiving, which I did some math. Since we drop our episodes on Wednesdays, this is the closest we will ever get to a Thanksgiving.
Ever?
It's also the furthest we'll get from a Thanksgiving.
I mean,
that's always on Thursday.
Yeah. So, okay. So this can be the most Thanksgiving and the least Thanksgiving episode.
Yes. And in a way, I've done that. So what I...
Stop jumping ahead.
What I have put together for us tonight, Patrick, is a tale of true Thanksgiving by going back to the first Thanksgiving to talk about that. To talk about the first Thanksgiving. I really messed that. Yeah, sorry. I ruined the tension.
Try it again. Yeah, it's okay. No, I can get tense again.
Okay. What I've done here, Patrick, is I've decided to celebrate that and celebrate Thanksgiving by giving us a ghost story of the first Thanksgiving.
Oh shit.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's good. That's gonna sound great on the podcast. Thank you. So here we go. In the year of 1607, Archbishop Tobias Matthew over in the UK, he went to the village of Scrooby. How can you live there and keep a straight face at all?
I mean,
the whole country is just
in their defense, like Hanna-Barbera is still several centuries away, so Scooby Dooby Doo.
That's true.
That's your great grandchildren aren't going to see Scooby Dooby Doo. So I think you're.
But the longer we do this podcast, the more I understand Monty Python, like why they were so funny, is they just had to lean in. They just had to half the humor is it's there. It's
just reading off village names in England. Like that's half of it.
Oh, Graham Chapman, you genius. So Archbishop Matthew goes to the village of Scrooby in Nottinghamshire, which is probably pronounced Nosher. I'm going to get a lot of messages about that at some point.
It is funny to me that the Germans and the English both like continue making their names longer and longer and longer, in the Welsh really, and yet the Germans are like, no, we're gonna say every single letter together, but the English and the Welsh are just like, no, there's no time.
Yeah, we're gonna cut it out. So he goes to Scrooby and he starts arresting himself some Puritans.
Oh, really? Busting heads?
Yes.
Okay. Just him?
He had friends. He had
boys. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. This is an archbishop. All archbishops have armies.
Have boys. Okay.
Yeah. Altar boys. The job of altar boy is hard because
that's actually where the word boys comes from.
Yes,
I don't know if you knew that.
It's not just the Sunday thing where you like do the whole ringing the bells and stuff. It's also you have to
6 more days in the week, guys.
And murderers. Yep. So he brings the altar boys and they start arresting some Puritans because King James I hated Puritans. He's like Church of England or GTFO.
Too pure. That's the problem.
Way too pure. Absolutely. Fuck those guys. But the Puritans were like, well, we don't really like being arrested.
Right.
So they were like, maybe we'll just leave. Because it's hard to fight a king. If you are not another king, it's hard to fight a king.
Especially in those hats. Honestly. Like, they're not helping anybody. I mean, that buckle protects a very small...
Yeah. And it's like, hey, well, it's dark out, but I can still see 3 inches over your brain. So that's a pretty good shot. So they get on up out of there. They flee. And they flee to, any guesses?
West Africa.
No.
Okay.
Netherlands.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
You didn't know that.
I have no idea. I thought they went to America. I was being funny.
That was the whole thing. And they went to the Netherlands. They liked it. They're okay. They were able to practice their religion the way they wanted to. But they settled in a pretty busy city, which they did not like. So they were like, no, we're simple farmers. The busy pace of life makes us confused and scared. And so it was too busy for them. They didn't like it. And they also weren't thrilled that their kids were all growing up learning Dutch and assimilating kind of into that culture.
Ah, I see. Because I mean, like it's the 17th century. If you settle in a city that's a little too big for you, there's literally everything else around. Like it was historically pretty unpopulated at that point.
Right, the
You
world,
could really just
the
you
globe.
could just go like a mile down the road. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black Death had just swept through, so lots of free real
So
estate.
it's just so much space. Some fixer-uppers. Some things
You
are
can
falling into
really gotta
disrepair.
stretch out,
There's never been more acreage per capita than right after the Black Plague, and that's a historical fact.
It's pretty much we crawl out of the primordial ooze, and then from there it just keeps building until the Black Plague, and then it kind of comes back down a little for a little while.
Rats get a bad rap, but they really did a lot for the retail, the house,
The realtor
market. The realtor. Thank you. The realtor market.
Real
estate.
Please cut all that.
We are 3 sentences in, boy. Anyway, so they don't like that. They're also pretty close to England still, which does eventually become a problem when one of the Puritan leaders, whose name is William Brewster, he publishes an article that was very critical of King James. It's things like, I hate this guy and how he tries to kill us all the time and stuff.
What's he publishing in?
Yeah, publishing is a weird word.
Yeah. I don't know what it's like.
Well,
yelled from the shore. I don't really know what this is.
People are reading it, so I don't really know what that means.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
I wrote this on a piece of lamb's wool and passed it around the village, and now everybody's upset.
I don't know who took it on the boat across to England, but I'm very angry about it. Because King James hears about this and he's very mad. And he, excuse me, this show is going, this is the wildest show we've ever done. God. It's very critical of King James, and the king does not like this. So he sends people to arrest Brewster. Brewster escapes, but they're all like, all the Puritans are like, well, okay, so maybe we should actually move somewhere farther away than this. And so they decide to set sail for the New World.
Of course.
Now the Dutch, who are very nice by all accounts, were like, do you have a Dutch accent? Do you want to try to? Can I feed this to you?
It's like it's kind of like South African, sort of. It's a very
it's very challenging.
I'm not going to try to Dutch. I know a little bit of Scandinavian accent. I don't think it's quite that.
Okay.
It's like you come down a little from there.
Yeah.
Like you cross Scandinavian with German, and that's pretty much
I'll try almost anything, but I don't think I have quite enough Dutch to
range.
Try. So I'll just slash talent. I'll say so the Dutch are like, oh, we own some land over there south of Cape Cod. You could live there if you want. They're just like,
ooh,
go
south of Cape Cod.
Yeah,
sounds
pretty
nice. Yeah,
very nice.
I would do that.
But the Pilgrims had a quote desire to avoid the Dutch influence.
And also had no idea where the fuck Cape Cod was, which is
had they known in advance, they might have had a different idea.
Can you point on this map what Cape Cod is? Is it north or south of the dragon? I do not know exactly.
So they said, thanks, but no thanks. We want to raise our kids like Americans. And this is how MAGA started. So they all so the Pilgrims, they go back to King James, and they're like, look, don't kill us. Listen, let's have a conversation. You don't like us. We don't like
you. Right.
And we don't like jail. We have a solution. We will go to America. We'll go to the New World. Will you let us set up a colony there in the English part of the New World? We will be so far away from you. We will probably die. You will never see us again. Can we do that? And James is like, sounds actually way easier than keeping you all in jail.
I don't think there's any newspapers that get published over there or lambskins. So yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Have fun, guys.
You're all going to die on the journey over anyway. Please go.
Like 25% of you are going to make it. So sure.
And at this point, I should note, there's only one European settlement that's been established in the New World at this point. And that was Jamestown. Yeah.
Roanoke. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. And that didn't go great. And we will circle back to Roanoke at some point because there's a lot to mine there for us. So the king is like, yeah, you sure can go over there.
Into the grinder you go. Into the defeather, all of you.
So they go. So in 1920, the Puritans, they leave England in order to escape religious persecution, in order to become religious persecutors themselves of just an extraordinary degree. And so they get on this boat. There are 102 passengers on the boat and about 30 crew members.
Wait,
what?
How do? Hang on.
Go on.
How do you differentiate between like passengers and crew members at this point? Like,
well, you will remember, and I think
what kind of fucking Carnival cruise line is this exactly? I'm sorry, I paid for the ocean view on the Mayflower, and that's clearly a pool view. I don't really know.
If you're a crew member, and as you'll recall, and some listeners will recall, we did talk about this I think a couple times because the Eastland disaster. Our live show at C2E2, we talked about the Eastland boat in the Chicago River. That was the biggest nautical disaster in the entire history of the world, if you count only passengers, not crew.
Ah, right. Yes, of course.
I don't know if you remember. You were there for this. I don't know if you remember this, but we
both
had
a
blacked out
few drinks. I will be honest.
Experience. The Titanic had way more deaths, but it had a lot of those deaths were crew members, and so passenger numbers only. The USS Eastland, which again, I do want to say toppled over in the Chicago River, which I could literally throw a stone across, was the worst passenger disaster.
I cannot imagine what the release contract looks like to sign on as crew on a boat. If it's like literally, and if the boat shall sink, you shall not be counted as one of the dead. You shall be counted as part of the boat. In fact.
You shall be counted as a sack of grain.
So, your value assessed as such. Your parents will receive 1 sack of grain for your life.
Well, and the hilarious / really terrible part of this for the Mayflower was they knew exactly there were 102 passengers, solid number. Number of crew members about 30. They didn't. Okay. There's no record of how many crew members were even on the boat, so it's not great. It's not a great scenario for the crew. But they all pile into the Mayflower, which I'm sure you've heard of, but I don't know if I ever learned this. If so, I probably forgot. It's a very small boat. It's quite small.
Yeah, like 130 people. It sounds like a lot of people, but you can fit 130 people on a pretty small boat, and I can't imagine the design of like ocean-going vessels in 1600 whatever the fuck was designed for comfort at all. I mean, you're probably like sleeping on top of the dude next to you. So
I think maybe literally in this case, because do you want to guess how long the Mayflower was, or do you want me to just tell you?
I'm gonna guess 100 feet, just round numbers.
Basically, yes, 106 feet. 106 feet. That's less than 1 foot per passenger. In like, now I don't know how wide it was, but that's right. That's not a big boat, friends. If you like, for reference, if you watch football, American football, that is 1/3 of a football field. That is a very small boat, and there are 132 people on board.
Right. Well, I'm sure they're only on it for a couple days, right?
Yeah, I think the transatlantic flight was pretty short. Let me check your. Oh my God, 2 months. So it's
so have you ever been to a party and it's like a little too busy and you're like, we should get out of here in the next 10 minutes or so? Imagine doing that for most of a semester of school. Like that's really where we are here.
That's exactly where we are here. So it wasn't a great journey.
Yeah. A great party, but not a great journey.
These are Puritans, so it was not a great party. So this was in. I said.
Did thou touch my wainscot? Oh my!
We must have a trial, a very long, boring trial. I at one point said 1920. This was clearly not 1920 when the Puritans came over. It was 1620. I'm going to change my notes. Thank you. So this was the 17th century for the Jen, who was putting together a wiki.
These all get uploaded, by the way.
Yes, for sure. Anyway, so this is the 1600s, and so it's not a good journey. So in this time, I mean, even now, if you want to sail from England to America, that's not like an easy thing to do.
It takes a bit. I mean, it takes a few weeks, I would imagine.
It's fine, but there's the weather is not always great. And at this point, in 1600s, the biggest concern is pirates, which is obviously super cool. But you don't want
I love pirates.
that. Yes, from our perspective, pirates,
very
A+.
cool.
Very
cool. They have fucking Lego sets about pirates.
Oh my God.
I mean, like,
so they must be the best.
So would you rather meet up with pirates or Ninjago or the Lego friends?
Or
That's really the question
dinosaur thing? What's a dinosaur set? That seems really dangerous.
Yeah. So unfortunately, they did not meet up with the Lego friends. They met up with the pirates.
So in order to not meet up with the Ninjago and or pirate Legos, they went north. They took a kind of a northern trip, which is fine because pirates don't go north. But you know why pirates don't go north?
Because it's fucking forbidding up north.
Yeah, because it's fucking cold and terrible. So you're really choosing your battle there. They swung north. It was good until they hit some rough and very cold weather.
I mean, the good news is that you're like standing chest to back for 60 fucking days.
You're pretty lodged in. So
The warmth is not the issue here. You're basically standing at like a bus stop for 2 months. So
it's like when you're a kid and your parents pile you in the back of a station wagon with your cousins.
Yeah.
And you're like, there's only 3 seat belts. And they say, you're all tight.
All 9 of you, shut the fuck up back there.
Just squeeze in. You're not going anywhere.
One of you light my cigarette and the other one hand it back.
So that was basically the situation. They hit some really rough and cold weather. The Mayflower ended up sustaining some pretty severe storm damage halfway through. Halfway through the trip, the passengers hit a storm, which threatened to tear the boat apart, but they saved it by using, quote, a great iron screw. I have no additional information.
He was the hardest opponent in Mike Tyson Punch-Out until you got to Mike Tyson.
The great iron screw.
When you had to fight the great iron screw, that was woo, buddy. Yeah.
He was tough. Oh boy, there was another storm after this that was so strong it swept one of the passengers named John Howland. Swept him into the ocean. Now, this guy's the luckiest fucking bastard in the history of the planet. He managed to grab one of the ship's lines as he flew off the boat.
Jesus.
And so he grabbed a rope and was just like being hauled through the ocean on this rope. And so they pulled him back in. So he was actually fine, which is incredible. Now, obviously, these are all, religious nerds, and they have never been.
It's a very generous word to put for the Puritan. Yeah, like a 17th century religious nerd.
Yeah, and they had clearly never been on a voyage like this, so a lot of them were getting very seasick, which I don't fault them for. Certainly, I'm sure I would be throwing my guts out.
Yeah.
But there was one crew member on the boat who was a real dick about it. And he kept laughing at them and kept like making fun of them and calling them weak and, your first time sailing. And they're like, yeah.
Yeah. People like keep stopping the karaoke performance and like pointing at people.
Yeah. Anyways, so that miserable fuck got sick and died. And he was the only person to die the entire voyage.
Really? Oh my God.
Unbelievably, the only person to die was the one who was making fun of everyone else for being seasick.
Well,
yeah. And the Puritans said basically what I think you're insinuating with your is that God had punished him for being an asshole. So he deserved it. After 66 days at sea, the Mayflower reaches Cape Cod. And they stay on the boat, of course, but they're sort of scouting out the place. And they're looking around Cape Cod, and they're like, nah.
Dude, you could not keep me on that fucking boat. 66 days. With my butt pressed up against every other dude on that boat, I would be fucking swimming 10 miles to get onto land. I don't care if there's goddamn dinosaurs over there. I am getting
I was going to say,
grass.
It's important to remember that, this was a wilderness in every sense of the word. I mean, this is a brand new, giant, terrifying swath of land.
As someone who has not eaten anything but mushy food for 6 days, you could not keep me on that fucking boat. There is no way in hell I would do the goddamn Michael Phelps backstroke for 10 miles to get eaten by a dinosaur. I really don't care.
Well, they are well, they're all virgins, so they were
Well,
like, "Why don't you stay safe?"
I have a life of denying myself of things, so what's one more thing? Sure.
Yeah. So, so they're like, I don't think so. So they sail up the coast.
I don't want to get my buckle wet. Anyway.
And I mean that in several senses.
Let's go get our buckles wet, boys.
No! So they sail up the coast, and they're just scoping out the land. And they eventually dock the boat at the Mayflower at what is now known as Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say these idiots on this boat, they got real lucky because they stumbled on to a place that had until recently been a settlement for a group of Native Americans, a tribe called, I'm just
butcher
gonna,
for me,
this is a
please.
blanket, yes. Butcher everything that is Native American related here, 100%. I don't mean any offense by it.
Right.
I don't know any better.
Sure.
So I'm going to do all this phonetically.
Go on.
Having said that, Patrick, let me copy paste. I'll put this in the chat. You can read it.
Please.
No, actually, that's more dangerous.
I'll take the bullet. It's fine.
No, it's the Wampanoag. And,
that sounds that's very accurate.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that. It's pretty, it's pretty widely
by the way.
assumed that wow, you knew that. Did you know that?
I did. The Wampanoag, yeah, of course.
Huh.
I went to Catholic school, bro. It's like Thanksgiving for the
too.
whole
We didn't
month
really
of November.
Talk about the indigenous side of things. It's more like the religious.
We try to be
persecution
respectful.
side.
Yeah. I mean, we only talked about like the fun, happy side. You know.
Yeah.
The cardboard, the construction paper feathers and shit.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
But yeah.
So it's pretty widely assumed that if the Wampanoag had still been in that area, they would have chased the Puritans away, or maybe.
I was going to say, chase them away, chase them into the fucking ocean.
Best case scenario, get out of here. Worst case scenario, like, come on, because they've had experiences with Europeans. We'll talk about that soon, but these are not the first,
and not positive experiences.
Oh no. So, but it turns out European explorers that they had already encountered had they'd done their work. They had, and I want to make a distinction just so if anyone's confused about history. So the Puritans and Jamestown, those are settlements where people are meant to stay and live forever.
Right.
But there have been earlier than that and throughout that explorers who come, they'll dock and they'll get off the boat and they'll just like hike in. They'll go. They're not making a settlement. So this is the second permanent settlement, but it is not by any means the second group of Europeans to land on.
Yeah. Plenty of YouTubers and Red Bull folks that have been here for a long time. Yeah, it's kind of.
They really are the the TikTok influencers of 1608. God, that's very good and very true. But so European explorers had already spread some sickness that away, and not long before the Mayflower landed, a whole bunch of Native Americans had been wiped out all along the coast, basically clearing the space for the Pilgrims. And interestingly, it had been long believed that smallpox is what killed the natives. We've made lots of jokes about that on this podcast, but new analysis shows it may have been something called leptospirosis. Now,
what does that do?
Thank you for asking. Leptospirosis is a bacterial infection that can lead to Weil's disease, Weil, apostrophe S, Weil's disease, which causes jaundice, kidney failure, and bleeding from the lungs. So I don't think
you bounce back from that. It doesn't sound like a bounce back one.
No,
yeah.
No. There's no good way to go here. But it was a lucky break for the Pilgrims, who now had this like open land that was already kind of an establishment for some.
Smelled a little funny, admittedly, but
it's a tough joke to make. So, unlike explorers who would dock their ships and go a-wandering, Plymouth was, of course, meant to be a permanent settlement. So, I have notes about Jamestown. We've already talked about that.
Land had been cleared. A Walgreens was there. I mean, it sounds like it was,
moving ready. That fucking Dwayne Reed.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you? Come on, man. So the Pilgrims set about building a town. Right, this is a permanent settlement.
Right.
They liked Plymouth as a location because it seemed pretty good from a defensive position. It's centered on two hills that stand right next to each other, two really big hills.
Right.
So their plan was to build the houses on one hill, which they called Cole's Hill, and the other hill, they're like,
and then you poop on the other hill.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
The other hill was the pooping hill. No, the other hill, they're going to build a fort. They called that hill Fort Hill.
So I'm sorry.
What?
You build. I'm a little confused here. So you have two hills.
Two hills.
There are different hills. Like there's a valley in
One
between
hill
them,
and
right?
then another hill.
Right.
Yes.
One hill, you're like, I'm gonna build all my fortifications and the guns and the like. They get the fuck away from me. Shit over there.
Yes.
Right. The other hill, you're like, that's where I'm gonna like put my kids.
Yes.
Just
Now,
Mhm.
you think
it's
that's
really
weird?
it's really amazing anybody let these people out of Europe. Really, because I mean, it seems like they would have been very, very successful, productive individuals. Really,
I gotta tell you, I
Mhm.
love that you're calling this out because it's gonna get even worse than that in just a second. In that same very specific way. So hold on.
why the fuck do we fortify the hill we don't live on? God damn it!
What I'll say is, as a preview, the hill they live on,
Mhm.
they treat like garbage.
Right, sure, of course. You shit where you sleep. Makes sense.
Yes. So anyway, so Coles Hill, Fort Hill. So they're building all this infrastructure. While they're doing it, clearly they have no houses to live on. So they're living on the Mayflower. Now that was not very good because thought you'd be a big man and drain the rest of your glass
I was,
in one sip.
and all into my eyeballs.
Oh boy. Pickney Ben. Do you want to feel it in your eyeballs? PINCKNEYBEND.com.
/eyeballs.
Boy, so where are we here? So they're building while they have to build everything, they have to live in the Mayflower. There's nowhere else to go. So they're
Still live on the boat.
they're
Really?
still living on the boat because what else are they going to do?
Swiss Family Robinson shit is this? I don't.
It's the most stable structure, right? And so
I'm sorry. The 60-foot long boat that they've been living on for 3 months is more stable than Earth. I don't really understand the idea here.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, this may help actually. This is an important detail.
Right.
Next line is because they had landed at Plymouth on December 21st.
I see. Okay.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're like camping out like in the summer nights.
Right.
Right.
Now they did realize, again, I'm assuming here they understand concepts like north and south and weather and whatnot.
I don't know. Can't
If
speak
they
to
had
that.
just kept on going south, it gets a little bit warmer. Miami, December 21st.
I don't know if they knew
Shorts
that
weather.
Miami existed.
Shorts weather down there. You know,
That's true.
I mean, you just keep on going, dude.
But shorts are indecent, so you can't go.
Well,
to where you wear
I'm sorry.
shorts.
Ankle weather down there, boy. Yeah,
That's pushing it.
yeah.
Yeah, this was this trip was really fucked. It's so badly planned. Like we're gonna get there in the fucking right at the start of the worst winter. Right?
Yeah,
Worst part of the year.
I have never understood this point. Like all the Europeans, like you deal with all the winter and shit like that, and they sail
this
due
way, they go-
west, like
yes.
straight fucking west, and they're like, I guess this is as good as it gets. And I see the land
Can't
keeps
possibly
going
more.
south from here.
And also, these people have empires everywhere. They know
Yeah.
that it's hotter south. They know that. They've enslaved
Yeah.
people down there. They know that it's warmer there.
But I mean, the Earth could also just drop off down there, and then
That's a good point. That's a good
Yeah, it could
point.
be
Space is cold.
yeah, dragons
Famously.
also could be down there.
So,
Yeah, every
But
time they
there
go
we
like
hot breath.
due west.
It'll
Yeah,
be warmer. So they do this. It's December 21st, so it's fucking freezing. So like we can't camp. We have to wait until we build structures. But also, it's hard to build structures in the middle of goddamn winter
yeah. So
north
let's walk
of Cape
across.
Cod.
Yeah, so let's walk across the ice back to the boat, and where it's very nice and comfortable,
It's insane.
where everybody's
It's
standing up.
Such bad planning. And there was some, this isn't a huge thing, but like the weather was so bad they couldn't even start building their houses until December 23rd. Not like 2 days is much different, but you want every minute that you have because your other
Again.
option is living on a boat
Yeah,
in Massachusetts. Like
with 64 guys named John, and they all have acoustic guitars. And I don't think anybody wants to spend Christmas that way.
so they're there and again, New England winters are clearly not great. There's 102 people on this boat plus about 30 crew members. they're cold and they're wet. There's germs and bacteria everywhere, which they don't even know anything about at this point. But
Right, yeah,
those are
they
there.
desperately need to get those onto the land to give to the natives before they get too
We're
cold.
so antsy. Come on, come on. And
Petri
people
dishes are freezing.
God. They're getting scurvy on the boat as they wait. Didn't bring enough citrus. So again, so at this point, the 102 people on the boat, and 45 of them died over the next month. Now you'll notice a couple things. Number one, that's a big percentage. It's almost half.
It is.
Number two, when the stats say there were 102 people on the boat, they do not count for any of the crew.
Right.
So we have no idea. Like, crew is so expendable. They're like, well, there are 102 people on the boat, and I guess also some crew members. I don't know. We didn't take care of them.
Like they're automatons or something like that. I don't know. They're like robots. I don't know what they do. One of them runs the karaoke. Another one runs the cash bar.
Not ideal. Gosh, we have so much more to go.
Really?
Yeah. Do you think this should be a 2-part episode?
It's feeling like it.
It might have to be.
No, it's a Thanksgiving episode. We should press on.
Yeah, just like the Pilgrims did.
Sorry, listeners.
We've ruined your holiday, and we'll do it again. So 45 of them die. Now, on the bright side, they have to build fewer houses. Which is a joke, but also is true.
And honestly, as like a second tier advantage, I have a lot of people I can use as cordwood to build the other houses.
So by the end of January, they were pleasantly surprised to find, hey, we now have enough houses to house everyone who is still living. So it goes a lot faster when half your people die. Now, they buried those 45 bodies on Coles Hill. So back to our earlier discussion. So we've got Fort Hill, which is where the defensive goes. We got Coles. Yes, Coles Hill, where the houses are. And then
Cole. Who's Cole?
I don't know. And then
Was
Coles
Cole
Hill.
No.
And then also Coles Hill is where the dead people go.
Why would you put that in the fort?
Why would you put it
like anywhere else? Anywhere else?
You are
in the fucking ocean.
There is no one in this country. You have thousands of miles to explore, and you could bury these people anywhere. They put them next to your houses.
Yeah.
There's never been a time when Europeans had more opportunity to spread out to bury their dead people than this, and they buried them on Coles Hill. So anyway,
I mean, honestly, even just rolling them down Coles Hill, just roll them down until they stop rolling, and then that's
we'll see how that works out.
Whatever that is.
Actually, as a matter of fact, thank you for bringing that up. That's foreshadowing. Now the Pilgrims actually met their first Native American on March 16th of that year, 1621. A man named Samoset, who had learned English from trappers. He very brazenly walked into the settlement and said, "Welcome, Englishmen," which I would say in hindsight is a pretty big whoopsie.
Yeah, I mean, what would you have said if you were Samoset in this case?
I would have said, "Get the fuck out." What do you think?
Maybe something like
It's okay, Jeremy can fix that. keep going.
Yeah.
Maybe you're gonna want a big icon there, big toilet icon.
I would maybe walk in and say something like, "Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon?"
Jesus Christ. Okay. Or Shumaya Tutanka Owachi. You know? That's from Dance with Wolves.
Yeah, I'm aware. Yeah,
it's probably pretty insulting, right? Because it's a very different tribe.
Yeah, we'll cut all that.
Yeah, please. Let's Dr. Brown. Let's Dr. Brown my part, but not the blue corn moon part. Unless Patrick wants to Dr. Brown that he can. That's up to Patrick.
I got no reputation to maintain. It's fine.
Okay, great. Moving on. Things were generally already a little tense between the settlers and the natives. This tribe had already had a few run-ins with the Europeans. They didn't go great. So the Pilgrims and the Native Americans established a formal peace treaty. Everyone's like, "Can we just agree to be cool?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And everyone's like, "I think so." Okay, yeah. And so it was that in that fall, several months later, either October or November, the Pilgrims decided to have a big old feast of Thanksgiving because they had a great year. Had a great year.
Delicious.
They invited the Wampanoag, and the party lasted for 3 days.
Whew.
Which I'll be honest, sounds like too long.
I mean, we've had 3-day benders before.
But if it's with your friends, that's great.
Yeah,
if it's with your fascist
with your
uncle,
church,
that's too long.
I don't know.
Yeah. So
you get 1 hour on Sunday. I don't really know about 3 fucking days.
So the party lasts for 3 days, and it's great, and everyone has a good time. Later, of course, the settlers would sort of ruin the whole area. They would take more land.
The country.
They didn't like that. And they took the country, and the rest is us, I guess. Anyway, that's Thanksgiving, but they've got all these dead pilgrims buried under Coles Hill. Now, the hill was eventually deeded to Samuel Fuller. He was the colony's physician, and he just now owns this hill.
Okay.
I don't have any details about that, but later the hill became
we're done with this hill. You can have it, Sam. That's not.
Yeah. Hey, take this hill. He's like, all right, what the fuck am I going to do with this? Later, Coles Hill becomes the property of a man named James Cole. And they're like, well, that's a coincidence. This is great. So this is the man for whom Coles Hill is named. Okay. I don't know what they called it before this, but Living Hill, I assume.
Yeah,
or,
Living Hill,
which is awkward.
Death Hill, Home Hill. I don't know, who cares?
Human Body Hill, living, and then in parentheses, living or dead.
Yeah.
Anyway, so James Cole gets the hill, and he opens up a tavern on the hill, and everyone loves that.
Sure.
Yes.
Puritans, alcohol.
You'd be surprised.
Peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter.
Let me tell you.
And pickles. So in 1637, the town cemetery was officially moved to a different hill. Because like we should probably stop burying our people.
I mean, that's not just like a update on Google Maps type thing. There's a bit of a mechanical process that goes on there.
Well, you would think so. However, I'm here to tell you. So in 1637, they're like, we should start burying people somewhere else to a new hill. There's a third hill. And so they start burying people at a third hill.
3 hills in America? What the fuck?
Would you like to take one guess at what this new hill was called?
Graveyard Hill. That's
so
my
close.
Guess.
Burial Hill. So they start burying the newly dead bodies there on Burial Hill.
I mean, why bury them on the hill? Like, you got to take them all the fucking way up there.
Well, but you have to take them all the way up there either way, right? Because you got to get over the hill if you want to take them somewhere else. Because it's water, hill. There's no
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, so they probably started dragging people up the hill. They're like, fuck this. We'll just bury them right here.
This is as high as we go.
So they started burying new bodies in Burial Hill, and it sure did fill up. Now, this is obviously 150 years later, but one such example of how it filled up was the day after Christmas in 1778. There was a big storm, and a boat called the General Arnold tried to make its way into Plymouth Harbor, but they hit a sandbar, so now they're stuck. And this icy storm is bearing down. There are about 100 Revolutionary War soldiers on board, Americans, people who are rebelling against the British.
Sure.
The good ones, and it's a bad storm. It's not looking good. So Captain James McGee, this Irishman who's running this ship, tells his men, put the rum in your shoes, boys. Let's prevent the frostbite. So they've got these barrels of rum. He's like, put it in your shoes. It'll prevent frostbite.
Sure.
The men are all like, no, rum is for mouths. And
it's been drunk already.
What
I'll end up in my shoes in a few moments. There's
no rum.
I'll put mine in your shoes and you put yours in my shoes.
All right. I do feel like I need to throw up.
Sure.
In like 30
First,
seconds.
it must pass through my body, though.
Give me your shoe. Give me your shoe. So most of them just drank it all instead, and then they all froze to death. 70 of 100 men froze to death.
Bad odds, but 30% chance isn't that bad. Really.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was a big day for Burial Hill.
Mm-hmm.
They
this is actually where the origin of Black Friday comes from. This is the Black Friday for Burial Hill.
70% off. So they took out the 70 people of 100 who died, and they put them in a 60-foot wide mass grave.
Okay.
We do appreciate what you're doing for this country. We do want you to have a burial. We do not want to catalog any of you.
No, there is a lot of work to do with that. So
they put him in a mass grave, which sucks. But anyway, so that's just one. Anyway, so even though the people of Plymouth in the 1600s had made Burial Hill their new cemetery, they didn't move the old berries off of Cold's Hill.
Sounds very complicated. Sure.
Yeah, so they just we'll just leave these bodies here. And again, these are the fucking pilgrims. These are the first people.
Right.
These are the important people. These are, historically speaking, these are big deals.
John 1, John 2, John 7, John 77.
I read through so many lists of names. There's so many fucking Johns. But they're all in close up there. We're not going to move them. And nor did they put up any signage that was like, pilgrims are buried here. So there's
hurts the resale
nothing
value.
There. I guess
really.
So. That's true. Cole himself was like, no.
We don't need to do that. Yeah.
So before long, people basically forgot there actually even were bodies there. So fast forward 100 years later or so, in the year 1735, there is a big storm, a huge storm at Plymouth. It was an absolute deluge. And I'm just going to read a passage from a man named John Goodwin, who wrote a book in 1879, of course, as they all were. This was John Goodwin. It's okay. Chairman will cut that out. Toilet time. God, your children are so well hydrated. I love that. I think we should celebrate that. Anyway, so
I'm going to do a PSA later about this. About
good. Kidney health
children 7 gallons of water a day, just a touch of scotch before bed, and they will pee the bed all night.
And also sleep blessedly. Blessed sleep. So John Goodwin wrote a book called The Pilgrim Republic in 1879, and here's a passage from it. Quote, "In a storm of 1735, a torrent pouring down Middle Street made a ravine in Coles Hill and washed many human remains down into the harbor. In 1809, a skull with especially fine teeth was exposed."
Fine, valuable teeth. Yeah. Mostly fit mine.
I say that for no particular reason. However, my teeth now pretty fine.
Yeah.
In 1855, these graves were exposed in laying the public conduit on Coles Hill. In one grave lay 2 skeletons, pronounced by surgeons male and female. The man had a particularly noble forehead, and it was fondly surmised that there were the remains of Mr. and Mrs. Carver. These found a new grave on Burial Hill, but the other relics, with barbaric taste, were placed in the top of the stone canopy over Forefathers Rock. A little bit more.
Imagine this guy with he shows up with 2 wheelbarrows. Like, these are the noble bones? These are the barbaric bones. Your forehead looks a little barbaric from a taste. You go in the blue wheelbarrow. You look nice though. Very pretty.
There's no offense to you.
Yeah, no offense, but you go in the yellow wheelbarrow.
He continues, in 1879, during some work on the southeast side of the hill, many more bones were unearthed, and some, with questionable taste, were carried away by the spectators in remembrance of their, quote, renowned sires.
And delicious soup qualities.
There's a lot happening here. Yes, some bones were taken away from so over the course of the century, all these things are happening where people are finding bones. There's a big storm which washes all these bones into the harbor, and they're like, what are these bones? Yeah. And then people are digging holes, and they're like, what are these bones? And other people are digging other holes, and like, what are these bones? Now one of these said they put they put some of the bones on top of the canopy over what do they call it? Forefathers Hill? Yeah, Forefathers Rock. I have a picture of this canopy. Would you like to see it?
Sure, why not?
The answer is yes. Here it is. So
okay. So
this
it's very like Gothic and typical. Okay.
Yes, it's a tall kind of four-sided structure that is basically, you know, a granite, I don't know, tent sort of over this rock, this is Plymouth Rock. They call it Forefathers Rock. This is Plymouth Rock.
Okay. This is like the landmark for Plymouth Rock.
Yes.
That's the rock.
That's the rock.
Okay.
That's the actual rock. And this is like the thing protecting the rock. Now, they took the bones and put
protecting the rock? Like, really?
I know. It's a fucking
honestly
rock.
It's like
its whole deal is to be fine.
Yeah.
That's the
You're protecting the rock with like easily 150 tons
of rock.
I don't really know what you expect to happen here exactly. Like, are they going to nuke it from orbit or something? It looks okay.
Yeah, the rock is fine. It is rock. However, this passage suggests they took the bones and put them either in the like upper part of this or on the roof of this, and just like, here are some bones. We'll put them on top of here, which is wild.
Concrete, which is famously expensive, needs to be supplemented with bones.
So I don't know. So there's the first place they put the bones was there, which is really something.
Right. And then they took the wheelbarrow over to the next block, and they were like, where else needs bones now?
Gosh, what else? And then in 1883, a workman was digging. So this is 200 years later, 250 years later. A workman was digging some post holes near a house on Coles Hill, and he's shoveling out dirt. He's tossing out spades of dirt, and one of the spades of dirt had a skull in it. Sure. He was like,
as it does.
Because again, no one knows that the pilgrims are buried here because no one has marked it.
Right.
Like for 200 years, people have been digging up pilgrim bones, and no one has been like, hey, we should tell people there are pilgrim bones here.
Yeah.
It's the most insane thing. I can't wrap my brain around it. People at this point are like, can we please do something about these fucking bones? We can't keep digging up bones. And so there's like some level of tradition of oral history that is like, oh, we do talk about how the pilgrims, the people who, again, we still study today, they did come here and they died and they were buried. We should make it more clear, I guess, that they were buried here where we live and where we dig holes and
under the target. Right. Yeah.
It's just like, it's so crazy. And so again, they landed there in 1620. It took until 1920, 300 years before someone was like, should we put a sign here? And so, oh no, I'm sorry. So the sign was there in 1884.
Okay.
Was when they were like, let's put a sign.
Yeah.
So 250 years later. And then in 1920, they're like, I don't know if a sign is just going to cut it. And so in 1920, they built a giant sarcophagus. And they collected all the pilgrim bones they had, and everyone had a few.
Right. Where you put a big bucket out in the town square, November 1st to November 23rd, and everyone can throw their bones in the bucket. No questions asked. Honestly,
it's like if you find a kidnapped baby, this is the fire station for that.
Yeah,
you drop your bones, and they did. They put the bones into the sarcophagus, and they sealed up. That's what's in there now. So that sarcophagus is on Coles Hill. Anyway, so as you can imagine, the Coles Hill and Burial Hill are just they're a clusterfuck of ghosts. So let's just go through this. So in Coles Hill, people see ghosts all over the place. They are disembodied voices. There's moaning, doors opening and closing, scream.
A random leg here and there.
Yes.
I mean, a finger is kind of prancing by. Sure.
Yeah. The Mayflower Society House is a building there. You can sometimes hear a ghost playing an organ. There's no organ there, but you can hear an organ being played.
Was there an organ on the Mayflower? Please tell me no. Absolutely not.
Actually, they're probably
no frivolity. Yeah,
they probably had. I'll say there may have been because they were doing like church service every Sunday.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So it's not impossible. They were like, we need an organ. Anyway, there's a house on North Street in Plymouth where if you knock on the door, something will knock back really hard.
Okay.
Photos have been captured of a little girl and a man in a tri-corner hat at that house standing inside the building when it's empty, because the bottom floor is empty. It's for tourists. But there's an apartment on the second story of the building. It's rented out every now and then, but no one stays very long. And one man several years ago said he broke his lease and left because he continued to be followed up the stairs by a man who followed him into the shower.
And just want to be friends, really.
Yes.
Unless, you know.
And at the Coles Hill sarcophagus, if you walk up and you put your ear to the stone, you can sometimes hear the voices of people talking inside.
Whew.
Over at Burial Hill, a couple miles away, tour guides have been attacked by a white figure who swoops down at them and physically batters them. Some to the point of like bruises and like they'll run away and the next day they'll have bruises. James McGee, who was the captain, the Irish captain of the General Arnold, he has been seen as a full apparition by many people, always dressed in his full regalia. One local said, quote, "Captain McGee has touched me on a regular basis."
Ugh, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's, you knew, yeah. I mean,
Not ideal.
report that. Honestly. I mean, it doesn't hurt. Just report it.
Do you have an HR?
Yeah.
Because some tour guides get brain freeze headaches near the mass grave of the soldiers there. And one guide gets so cold standing that he cannot do the story of their death by the monument because he gets so fucking cold. He does it later at the bottom of the hill. Sounds like you're not getting what you paid for, but
sure.
Yeah. In Burial Hill, there's also a couple in Victorian dress that sometimes is seen walking down Burial Hill. A local named Amy Giammassi saw them in 2010. She saw a man and a woman. They were walking down the hill, arm in arm, and they were walking down the hill, except they didn't have legs.
Does she know how walking works? I mean, that's
like
scooching.
I mean, she
that's
was
scooching. You're scooching.
I wouldn't say I would say she was very clear on the fact that walking is weird to do when you have no legs. And she still made that choice. And also the John Carver Inn, obviously a hotel at the bottom of Burial Hill, used to be it was a side of the house full of medical students during the American Revolution. And those students would run up the Burial Hill at night and dig up cadavers to work on. And those cadavers didn't like that. And so the spirits of the people who were dug up on Burial Hill still haunt the inn today. The best hauntings happen apparently in room 309. That's where you'll find all the most scary ghosts. And there are, dozens more that I didn't think we'd have time to get to, and I was correct. So if you want some real serious Thanksgiving hauntings, Plymouth, Massachusetts is your place, unsurprisingly. Lots going on there. And this is some of it. This is a story I think we should all tell our family around the Thanksgiving table this year. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, get out the old spaghetti squash and the Thanksgiving ham and start spinning some tales.
Absolutely, the classic spaghetti squash. And make sure you have your picnic bin there because again, every family's got a fascist. And here's the tip: if you don't know who it is, it's you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Is this a ghost? The notes are taken by me, Clayton Smith. All the good jokes are from my dear friend, Patrick Dean. Our audio editor is Jeremy Montoya. Our video editor is Jen Swanson. And gosh, they are the two hardest working, least paid people in media. So thank you so much to them both. If you want to see sources for this episode, and there are a lot of them this time. We always put them in the show notes. This is a production of Smith Show Media, and we will see you again next week on another very, very just wild episode of Is This a Ghost?